Hello, welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, I'd love to talk to you about how the wellness industry is changing in 2024. And rather than this just be a barrage of commentary about trends and things that are changing, I actually want to just talk about one particular trend that is dominant as a theme that will influence the way that you need to be thinking about your business. And then what I want to do is actually focus the rest of the episode on 4 or 5 things that you can do to ensure that you're responding to this trend and giving yourself the best chance to maintain or to build a profitable business online as a wellness expert in 2024 and beyond. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room in this instance is technology as a driver for change. And technology is such a wonderful thing in so many different ways. And in the context of this episode, I'd love for you to understand how technology is changing the relationship that consumers have with well-being and health content and knowledge and expertise. So if we think about the proliferation of AI, of even, innovation in testing and the capabilities that we have of science and personalization of well-being, the consumer of today is better informed about how their own unique ecosystem and biology are being affected by certain decisions, lifestyle decisions, nutrition decisions, behavioral decisions. We are now having conversations that are much more technical than perhaps conversations about diet and lifestyle were 10, 15 years ago. And, a perfect case in point is the much more prolific understanding or mainstream understanding of things like glucose monitoring and, blood sugar spikes. And, one particular Instagram influencer has made this conversation particularly topical whilst recording this podcast with a specific supplement that has been launched around it. And there's a lot of conversation happening from both experts and consumers in the public domain about this higher level or higher degree of insight and personalization that is happening in the wellness industry. Now, my point that I'm making is not whether this is good or bad. It's more an observation that this is what is happening. Consumers are more privy to a higher level of expertise and detailed insight into the science of nutrition and lifestyle. And this is a good and it is a good and a bad thing. And you as an expert might find it worrying. You might, if you're somebody who is practicing in the field of nutrition and lifestyle from the perspective of demonizing certain behaviors or consumers becoming overly cautious with regards to things like glucose and sugar and so on, I can understand why. But it's so important that we observe these trends in their totality and think about how they feed into the way that you market, sell yourself, communicate your message, and so on. And what I love is that in real time, experts like you are responding to these trends and developments in the industry and sharing your take on them and sharing how it might affect consumers long term, with the case in point being, this topical conversation about glucose monitoring and certain supplements that are being launched and so on. Okay, so the trend that I'm talking about is, of course, technology and its implications for consumers when it comes to highly personalized health and well-being expertise. I had a friend of mine on the weekend talking to me about her interactions with the Zoe app here in the UK. And, quite frankly, and I'm sure my friend wouldn't mind me saying this on the podcast, she's not somebody who was typically engaged with the wellness industry on the level that perhaps I have been working in this space for many years until very recently when she was marketed to by a company that are making personalized well-being much more accessible, a much lower price point. Again, not about whether this company is good or bad or right or wrong in their approach, simply a fact that more people in the mainstream and in the main public domain are being exposed to higher degrees of more accessible, personalized well-being. So what does it mean for you? Well, it's a call for action for you. It is a call to double down on what makes your work so special and what makes it so human. The fact that you are somebody, an expert who is highly qualified in your field and who is able to create a direct connection with your ideal client. And in working with you, your ideal client gets to have a deeply personal experience in the context of technology. Yes, because, likelihood is for many of you, you engage in certain types of maybe testing or you use technology to give people access to your content and your expertise, but that you are somebody with whom they can have their hand held. You are somebody with whom they can personally connect and be seen and heard and felt. And this is something that, robotics and AI and technology will struggle to, in the short term, replace. Maybe it's not impossible because, I've seen some crazy stuff online about deep fake and, certain ways in which AI is developing faster than we can even imagine. However, for now, right now in 2024, it's a call to action for you to become more deeply emotionally connected with your audience. Remembering that your ideal client does not just want to buy information from you, because information is available in the tech-driven domain. Lots and lots of information is available. But what you offer is that human connection. So doubling down on human connection, doubling down in your messaging on why you feel the way you feel, your ideal client, how your ideal client could feel if they engage in this transformation, why the critical part of the work that you do is about accountability and connection and support and handholding and picking up your ideal client when they fall off the horse, or supporting them when life gets in the way and things don't play out the way that your client hoped that they would. Those emotional connection pieces that you know and understand where they are, and you know and understand where they want to be, and that you are the bridge, the support structure to help them to get from that point A to point B more powerfully, more sustainably, more connectedly than any app or, connected device could ever achieve. So really tapping in your messaging this year to that human-centered approach to well-being, that connection-driven approach to getting a result that requires, commitment, accountability, support, and emotional connection. So what else? It points to another demand in the wellness industry for wellness experts to become more specialized. And I talk about this all the time. I have a couple of short courses that focus on this. It's the foundational piece of learning that we engage in with clients inside our consistent clients community. It's doubling down on your expertise as a wellness specialist rather than blending into the noise by being a wellness generalist. The world needs more specialists. I have seen the most interesting niches popping up in my community. People doubling down on pre-diabetes, people doubling down on freezing eggs in the fertility process or preparing for freezing eggs. I've seen clients doubling down on specific symptoms that women experience in the journey of weight loss, metabolism in your 40s, very hyper niched areas of well-being, ADHD in children, lots and lots of really specific problems that consumers in their heightened awareness of well-being and health are looking for support with. Where, before parents of children with ADHD may have been just looking for a general nutritionist, they are now looking for a specialist nutritionist who understands neurodivergence, and not only neurodivergence, but specifically ADHD. So this is just an example of that hyper niching that is going to bode well for you as a wellness expert as you move into that growth phase of a profitable wellness expert. And that gives you overall a greater level of momentum, greater opportunity to stand out, and therefore in the long term, a greater opportunity to cover more areas of expertise as you grow your business. So to summarize that little section there, what I also want to mention is the importance of knowing that being a wellness specialist doesn't mean that you niche yourself in that area forever. It is a point at which you can gain momentum. It is a strategy that helps you to create that initial momentum that ultimately enables you to build greater levels of resource in your business and then widen your sense of impact and your area of expertise in the long term. So coupled with this move towards the demand for greater levels of wellness specialists is also a need for more tangible outcomes or promises from these wellness experts. So it's not just about getting specific and clear on who you work with and who you help. It's also getting specific and clear on what the outcome is that you deliver. So what is it that you're actually going to help your client to achieve? And it can't be thriving. It can't be living their best life. It can't even be, just losing weight or just feeling good or just being energized. It needs to be contextualized so that your ideal client, when they see your promise, when they hear what you help your clients with, they hear something that they can really specifically latch onto, that they can translate into real outcomes for themselves in their life, in their, reality, and actually paints a picture for them of real, tangible change that they can attach to, that they can see their life, that you can paint a picture of a new life, a new set of possibilities that translate into real outcomes. And again, another reason for this is because there's so many different opportunities for consumers to invest in their well-being. So you are fighting for consumer spend, and a consumer needs to justify their spend by seeing that there's a direct return on that investment. So thinking about, like every other business in the world, what is the return on investment that your client is going to get? How are they actually going to be able to realize change, and how can you make that tangible? The more abstract your promise is, the more open it is to interpretation by your ideal client. And then the more time they spend thinking about what that actually means, and they are having to kind of extract meaning for themselves, when your job really in your marketing and your messaging is to do that extraction for them. Show them exactly what is going to be possible because of the outcome that you deliver. So your offers need to be clear, how it is that you help your client. Your tangible outcomes need to be clear, telling your ideal client exactly what you're going to help them to achieve. And all of this becomes possible when you are clear on who your audience is, you're focused on who your audience is, and you can start to design your service, your offer, your programs in a way that speak directly to that person and speak directly to that result or outcome that you deliver. And when you know what that outcome is that you're delivering to your client, you stop asking yourself, how long should my program be? Or what should I put into my program? Or should it be 3 weeks or 10 weeks? And instead you ask yourself, well, how long will it take me to help a client learn all the things they need to learn, master all of the, strategies or thinking, or learn all of the educational pieces, or implement all of the changes that I need them to implement to get to that outcome. And your offers are suddenly more informed by the outcome that you promise itself. Your offer value, therefore, becomes clearer, and your ideal client can see that by buying into what you're selling, your service, your program, your course, whatever, they are going to see themselves getting to that outcome. They will believe that that outcome is possible for them. So hopefully that all makes sense. The last thing that I want you to think about is how important it is for you to become somebody who is creating more than you are consuming. As the wellness industry expands and the information available in it expands, it is very easy, and I see this happen all the time, for experts like you to get lost in consuming everything that is happening and forget that you need to be somebody who is in that space creating meaningful content as well. And it's not always just about value creation. What's most important is, coupled with value creation, that you're also telling your audience what they can do to take action to work with you. And this is the missing piece in content strategy for so many wellness experts, is that you are maybe creating valuable content, or back to my point, you're consuming more than you're creating. You're actually not being visible. But more than that, you're not actually putting yourself out there and telling people what the next steps are if they want to take action and get the tangible result that you deliver, or learn the frameworks to get to that tangible result. So being a creator, being someone who is producing more than you're consuming in this space, means that you are somebody who is constantly talking about what it looks like to work with you, what the results look like when they're achieved, what your other clients are experiencing to create social proof. And if you don't have that social proof yet, I suggest you do some work with some clients for free to get it. Don't get too emotional about your pricing that you don't actually allow yourself to get traction. If you haven't got paying clients, get some clients who are going to get the result with you and use that social proof to create that evidence that your audience need that the next steps that they want to take should be taken with you. So when you're thinking about becoming a creator of content, falling in love with social media, and I did a whole other episode around this, is grounded or rooted in your ability to use social media to actually drive your business forward. If you feel like you are creating stuff online and it is not translating into results for you and your business, then you will become disillusioned. So what's important is that you learn how to use social media and create content that actually drives your audience into action. And what typifies that is content that actually tells people what those next steps are that they need to take. Action-oriented content coupled with value. So here's a piece of value. Here's something I want to teach you today. And here's why you need to take the next steps in order to change your life and achieve this outcome. That is value and action-oriented content. So I hope that this episode has been helpful. There's been a lot jam-packed into this, and it's all off the back of this proliferation of personalized wellness, mainstream conversation about wellness, a more savvy, a more educated consumer. And you can either respond to that or you can get lost in the noise. My clients are raising themselves up to the level of this, of this challenge. And they're finding ways to cut through that noise with ultra-focused messaging, with very clear and tangible outcomes for their ideal client, and being more and more connected with who it is that they want to serve. And that's your objective too. So I look forward to hearing how you go implementing all of these things. And I'm excited to catch you in the next episode. Take care. I'll see you soon.